Hi, Ray Haycraft here with Fuel the Scene magazine, and I'm here with Pat from Anti-Flag. How are you doing today?
Great, I'm hot. It's Warped Tour, so we're in North Carolina, so it is always hot here.
Charlotte is, the dates here always early, like July, and last year we had a huge storm that came through and drenched everyone, so I mean, it's better than that.
Yeah, we got rained out the last 4 or 5 shows, so we're in Florida, so. But we're here today, and it's sunny and hot and shitty, so we're going to rock.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's it, I mean, other than getting, rained out and it being really, really, really muggy, how else has been your Warped
has been a lot of fun. We're out here with Sick of It All, and today Big D and the Kids Table are on today, so that's going to be awesome. War on Women is on, which is another great band that we've toured with and had some great tours with. So
you've played with a lot of these bands before.
Yes.
You all have been veterans of the scene.
Yes, we've been a band for 20, 25 years now, so we've done a lot of touring with a lot of these bands. A lot of the younger bands we haven't toured with, but we're going to hopefully do some touring with them in the future, so that's good.
Yeah. Now, you all are, I would say, famous for, but your political activism and, being aware of the social, unrest, I suppose, in the nation.
Yes.
So what has it been like, especially this summer, on Warped Tour with all the things going on?
Well, the interesting thing about Donald Trump and his administration is, A, he's a douche. So We'll start with that. But what his bigotry has allowed is the normalization of racism and sexism. And we have to make sure that when we see that, yes, locker room talk or straight up bigotry, when we see that, we have to confront it, because just because the president condones it doesn't mean that the rest of the culture does. So when we're all in our collective small cultures and you hear that racist and sexist talk, you have to stand up against it. And that's what happened at Warped Tour a couple of weeks ago with the Dickies, and people felt as though what was being said was fucked up, and I agree with them, and they spoke out against it. And so that the world that we live in now is slightly different, because him being a racist allows the other racists to think that it's okay to be shitty. Yeah.
And you all have been, active and standing against such things for forever, but right now is such a volatile period.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that has affected the punk rock scene specifically?
Well, the punk rock kids have always been smart enough to not fall into that. Yeah. So the punk rock kids are down here, and we're just trugging along, because that's what we do. We are always on the right side of human rights and the right side of social justice. But, and the rest of the culture goes in waves of stupidity, and right now we're in the trough of stupidity, or the height of stupidity, depending on how you want to use that analogy. But yeah, punk rock is always there. We're always there fighting against those things. And one of the things that we've learned over time being in a band is one of our heroes is Woody Guthrie. He was a singer-songwriter activist from the 1930s and 40s, and he sang songs about immigration and the problems with immigration. But the songs that he sang were about Oklahoma people moving to California for jobs. So the people in California were trying to build a wall in California and keep the Okies out, as they called them, from coming and stealing their jobs. Which, it's the same thing. You still have these people who are afraid of others, use this argument of stealing our jobs. Usually there's usually people with less money trying to get into a place with more opportunity. But now the issue is the same, but the geography has changed. Now it's people want to come from Mexico or Central or South America or the Middle East into the U.S., and there's small-minded people in the U.S. who want to build walls and try and keep people out. So what you realize when you see these things and you see this, that the stupid people are always going to be there. They're always going to be afraid of others. And what we need to do is always fight against that and make sure that we realize that when we have people from different places, different ethnicities, different cultures, it makes all of us better rather than less. So
Absolutely.
we always want to welcome as many people with different viewpoints, and that is actually economically what has made the U.S. strong in the last, in the 80s and 70s, 80s, and 90s, was that diversity that came in the 1900s and 1920s. It brings in different ideas, and economically it's better for all of us.
Absolutely. How do you feel, in the last decade or so, that the internet and social media has changed that narrative?
Well, what it has done is, on the good side, it has brought the hierarchy of media down. So anybody can be a journalist now, which is fucking awesome. We all want to be able to get our voice out there, and the more voices we have, the better. That is awesome. But what the yang to that, or the yin, I'm not sure which it is, but the bad side of that is the fact that you can put out disinformation much easier now than you could before, and it's very difficult to weed through what is real information and what is fake news, as Trump uses. But what you see, and just to be clear, with Trump, whenever he's accused of things, he attacks for the things that he's accused of. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. But so when Trump says fake news, he accuses people of fake news, it's because he is creating fake news.
Well, it means news I don't like.
Yes, but he's also actively, his party and his alt-right are producers of fake news, and along with the Russians, and so we have to figure out ways of figuring out what is fake and what is real. And as a culture, we haven't figured that out yet. I don't have the answer for that. There's much smarter people who are going to do that. But for me, the way of solving that problem is to see news media from lots of different sources, and then we can always figure out what is bullshit and what's real.
What do you think that the music scene's part of social justice and activism is?
The music scene does not have a responsibility for social justice and activism. However, for me, that's the most interesting kind of music, so I always gravitate towards that. But if you're interested in those things, talking about those issues and making the next generation aware that those things are out there and that they can be involved. When I was young, there was no talk in schools about trans people. There was no talk in schools about homosexuals and the lifestyle, or different cultured people, or people from different cultures. I didn't know about veganism or vegetarianism until I went to the rock shows, and I was exposed to those ideas. And now those ideas made a lot of sense to me, and I live my life within those communities. So the rock show, in my vision, the most important part of that is to make people realize that there's other people out in the world, and that if they don't fit into the homogeneous group that they grew up in, there's another group for them to find.
So, beyond that, what do you feel like your personal motivating factor is in this band?
The thing that we have, which is awesome, that a lot of other people don't have, is every night we go into a room full of 3,000 people and meet people who want to see the world different than it is today. And so when I see those people, we are charged and amped up, and we think the world's changing, man. Things are getting better every day. Now, I realize when you go to your school and you're like, oh, these people suck and nobody's changing anything, it's not, you don't have the optimism that we do, but there are amazing people out there who are boots on the ground making shit happen every day. And when we play rock shows, we get to interact with them, and that's fucking awesome. And that's what keeps us moving forward, because we know that there are people who are willing to fight for what they believe in.
Oh, that's awesome. For someone who is not familiar with Anti-Flag, what would you want them to take away from one of your performances?
We will rock your ass off. Yeah, you're going to come to the rock show. It's going to be fucking awesome, and the songs are not that bad. They're pretty good sometimes.
If you do say so yourself.
If I do say so myself, the songs will rock your ass off.
Now, for your Warped set, which, the festival sets are a little bit shorter.
Yes.
How much of your catalog do you get to throw in there?
We play nothing but the hits. Nothing but the hits. Half an hour of straight hits.
Yeah. There you go.
There's not any room to put in any filler. We have 10 records, and you're going to pick the best songs that everybody...
New stuff?
We have a new record coming out in the fall. We're listening to mixes right now, and they're awesome, so we're excited to get that stuff out in the fall and do more touring.
What was the process like of recording Live Volume 1?
Live Volume 1, we did it in LA at the Troubadour, I think, is the name of the room. And but it was awesome because we went out and did a whole tour of old songs. Mm-hmm. So that was awesome because we got to revisit these songs, and then we recorded it, and then we released it. And because it's Live Volume 1, that means that there's a Live Volume 2 coming.
I was gonna say.
But it probably won't come till next year. Yeah. So that will come in the next year or so.
And then the new album, you said maybe end of this year?
Looks like sometime in October, November, sometime around then.
Love it. And what else do fans have to look forward to from you all beyond the new album? I'm assuming you'll have some music videos coming out.
Yep, all that stuff is in the works, and there's really cool stuff coming. It's fun because I get to see it before everybody else gets to see it, so I'm like, that's fucking awesome. I can't wait for people to see that. So that stuff's going on right now, and it's going to be coming out soon, and we're excited to share that with people.
Awesome. If you had any last words of wisdom for our fans back home, what would they be?
Don't be an asshole, and start your own fucking band.
I love it. Rule number 1, don't be an asshole. We're just going to start writing that here.
Yeah, just don't be an asshole.
I love it.
It's easy. It's easy to remember. No, nothing deep philosophical, just don't be an asshole.
I love it. All right, well, thank you so much for taking time to talk
to
us today, and have a great rest of your Warp.
Yeah, Warp Tour, fuck yeah.